I forgot how to do this. Shabbat, Shalom. We welcome you virtually this week to pause. Pause and offer yourself a few breaths this evening. With each exhale, we allow ourselves to let go of the week thus far and move into a space of reflection, of rest, of renewal, and of hope. We open our Siddur Mishkan Tefillah to 126. If you don't have a copy at home, look to a link in our virtual tab, and you are invited to follow along. 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. 129. Do Di Li. We sing a love song as we arrive this evening. Do Di Li Vani Lo Aroa Basho In celebration of our love, we continue with Kol Do Di. Turning to 142, we recognize the angels in our midst. We recognize those who made this live stream possible. We recognize those essential workers continuing to put themselves at risk and put their hearts on the line for us. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hashari, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Malachi Hashalom. Melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Archuni l'shalom Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. (138). We are ready to welcome the Sabbath bride. It is our tradition to sing verses 1 to 5 and 9. We rise on the 9th verse and enter and face the opening to our sanctuary, the opening to your home, your sanctuary, as we open our hearts and doors in welcoming others in our midst. Leratoti likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. 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 Shamor v'tzakor b'dibor echad, ishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai. Lechadoti likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lechadoti likrat kala, Shabbat nikabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi makor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat chala, Shabbat nikabela, lecha dodi likrat chala, v'nei Shabbat nikabela. Hitoreri, kivod anai alayik nigla. Lecha dodi likrat chala, v'nei Shabbat nikabela, lecha dodi likrat chala, v'nei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, ba b'simcha uv'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat chala, v'nei Shabbat nikabela. One 145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence, the facing page. Yitkada v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayichon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Bagala, uvizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam ulal me'amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitumam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar, v'yitalal, shemei t'kudesha barechu, le'hila min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'imru amen. 146. We rise in body and or spirit and face Jerusalem. Page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my sister, my brother, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? The facing page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם, ברקיע כרצונו. יאי לי 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 יאי לי לי חושך מפני אור ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ולילה אדוני צבאות שמו יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המריב הרבים יאי די 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 מריב הרבים. Wisdom and Wonder, page 151. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives us. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives its form. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed. 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 Lai, 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 Our Shema is flanked by two prayers of love. First, a prayer for the love that we receive from the source, everlasting love, and ve'ahavta, for the love that we give. 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavcha uv'kol nafshecha uv'kol mehodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'elech asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. אדוני אלוהיכם. 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and by marching together. 158. We get a glimpse of what it may have been like for Miriam and Moses. Lai, 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 lai. 160. We ask the Source, grant us peace. Please join me in the Hebrew. 6 lines from the bottom, and then returning to the top. Ushmor tzitenu voinu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chaim uvros aleinu sukat shalom lecha me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam. 163. We are people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We rise in body and or spirit to face east towards Jerusalem. The Amidah will continue belachash in whispered prayer. Through page 180, please find your way back to your seat once you have offered the prayer that your heart brings this evening. (164). Yehiu l'ratzon imrei fi v'hagion libi lifnecha Adonai tzui v'gali Adonai tzui v'gali May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Imrei fi v'hagion libi lefanecha Adonai tzui v'gali Adonai tzui v'gali 178 grant us abundant peace. Shalom Rav O Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav O Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Hatohu Melech Adon L'chol hashalom Ki atahu melech Adon L'chol hashalom Shalom Rav O Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav O Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam L'tov beinecha livarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה לשלומך שלום רב O Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav O Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam. With our hearts open this evening, we take this opportunity to direct our light to those in need of healing in our community and beyond. Please find the text of this prayer on page 371. This evening, we offer a Misha Berach to Arnie Zappel, Yisrael Aga, David Anderson, Amanda Batista, Susan Bach, Susan Becker, Jenny Bryant, Tom Burrows, Amelia Byers, Audrey Cohen, Jay Cohen, Joe Cohen, Robert Cohen, Robert Cook, Adele Corvin, Tyler Corvin, Louis Costello, Bob Davis, Yehuda Ben Leah Vechaim, Phyllis Fillmore, Ellen Futterman, John Gautier, Joy Gross, Ron Hall, Darren Jacobs, Judy Jacobs, Lee Kalish, Les Kalmus, Seth Kerr, Susan Klamberg, Andrea Klein, Mary Jane Klein, Lou Klein, Buddy Krakowski, Jeff Levine, Jack Levy, Jeff Lukash, Stacy Lynn, Stevie Linworth, Lana Ogram, Joe Michaels, Moshe Yosef, Stephanie Payusko, Rick Peruso, Carla Friedman, Ellie Eidelwitz, Rivka Bat Esther Ve'Ephraim, Tony Rosenstein, Blossom Roseman, Robin Stone, Elaine Trott, Ellen Vogelov, George Wells, Ben Wilder, Phyllis Volfield, Jeffrey Zelkovitz, Gretchen Zimmerman. We offer our continued prayers for healing to Sandy Albailey, Todd Albailey, Tommy Anderson, Bonnie Amantro, Jan Bennett, Pat Brackman, Joe Calley, Michael Corvin, Steve Fine, Cheryl Fitzsimmons, Barbara Gallagher, Francine Glasser, Mark Greenberg, Marcia Hamburg, Valerie Henderson, George Jones, Danny Joseph, Anita Cantor, Heather Kite, Jill Levy-Corley, Charles Lipman, Naomi Lurie, David Mallon, Joanne Moore, Anne Murkoff, Catherine Nicholson, Navia Newsy, Orly Batzvia Vechaya, Kyle Rothgeb, Barbara Salberg, Henry Sanderson, Shirley Schneider, Deborah Sears, Phil Searles, Sloan Shortley, Michelle Simon, Charles Slutsky, Mark Trott, Sandy Weiner, Karen Wilder, Luca Williams, and the Livingston House staff and residents. 371. Misha Berach Avotinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Misha Berach Imotinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Misha Berach Avotinu, Misha Berach Imotinu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Hear our us as well. It is my honor and privilege to invite the president of our congregation, Jeffrey Greenberg, to do our teaching this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. That was lovely. Before I do this, I really want to thank everybody for tuning in and understanding. It was not an easy decision to close the building this weekend, and we hope that it's not a long-term decision. We don't think that it will be. But with numbers spiking and, just a tremendous amount of uncertainty out there, we thought that this was the wise course of action. So know that our COVID protocol committee will be meeting this week and will come back to you, hopefully, with a policy for next weekend and going forward. So thank you again for tuning in. Now that we're all tucked in for our long winter nap, there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. I've always loved that line, that opening line. It's a great setup. It's a prologue to the seminal story of the Exodus, which is what the book that we begin to read this weekend. The story begins, as all stories must, with the introduction of the main actor, Moses. I don't believe any other character in the 5 books is given as elaborate or as loving a backstory, a portrait of the reluctant prophet as a young man. The story that's told and retold through generations every Passover. It's drummed into us like flour into the dough of our great origin narrative, full of promise and romance and adventure even. And the story, as we all know, it delivers. A fearful Pharaoh bent on destroying these troublesome strangers, a Hebrew child swaddled in blue cloth and secreted in a reed basket covered in pitch to be sent floating down the Nile, taken in by the childless daughter of the king, and raised uncircumcised, which is an important plot point, as a prince of Egypt. A prince who finds his calling by killing a brutal Egyptian taskmaster and is then chosen by God to lead the Hebrews from bondage. We've all known the fantastic story since we were kids. We can picture it and delight in it. It's a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold. The story is truly Shakespearean. The language, the poetry of the highest order. There's a land flowing with milk and honey, stranger in a strange land. The text is replete with wonderful imagery, where a staff can turn into a snake and then turn back into a staff again. The narrative thrust moves inexorably to the big scene at the Sea of Reeds. And yet, 3/4 of the way through the portion, inexplicably, on the road, at a night encampment, or in an inn in other tellings, God turns on his chosen voice, the stutterer to whom he shared his unspoken name, the reluctant supplicant who will challenge Pharaoh, the only other power in the world who can thwart God's intention. And God decides to kill Moses. Huh? Does it make any sense? If I brought that denouement to my writers group, they'd tell me I just killed a very good story. If I showed it to an agent, they'd say thanks, but no thanks. If I asked Melanie to illustrate it, I'd get a polite, I'm busy. And they'd all be right. Because we've now come to the most perplexing 70 words in the entire 5 books. For mystery, mayhem, and sheer baffling weirdness, nothing else in the Bible quite compares, says author Jonathan Kirsch. And it gets even curiouser and curiouser. To save Moses, Zipporah, his Midian wife, cuts off his foreskin and rubs the bloody artifact on his leg, saying, "Now you are my bridegroom of blood." Where did this scene come from? I mean, even C.B. DeMille wouldn't touch it in the Ten Commandments, though it does have the ring of a slasher flick, The Bridegroom of Blood. But historical scholars agree that it's a fragment of an ancient tale, too explicit to include whole, yet too intriguing to let go. The rabbis engaged like in a game of biblical twister to explain its presence here. But they can't even agree on who is to do the killing. Candidates include Satan, the angel of death, and even a giant serpent who is supposed to swallow Moses whole. The most reasonable of them will tell you the story is a restatement of the importance of circumcision, that Moses so annoyed God by not having his firstborn child circumcised that God was willing to call off the whole enterprise of the covenant. But this explanation just won't fly in the light of the care that the majority of the portion takes in describing God's emphasis for the compassion for the plight of his enslaved chosen people, and the lengths that he'll go to liberate them. You just don't kill off your greatest prophet to make a point that was better made elsewhere and earlier on in the story. The other issue worth considering is that circumcision was common in the period and practiced by the Egyptians and other peoples. So it was not unique to the Hebrews, as you might expect. Other commentators say that the story is in fact a literary foreshadowing of the 10th plague, the killing of the Egyptian firstborn. But the story is one of those tales so off-putting and so extravagant that the biblical explainers often outdo themselves. Some other explanations center around Zipporah as an incarnation of Isis, the Egyptian divine mother, who saves Osiris, her male counterpart. And trust me, some of the other explanations, which I'm not going to go into here, stretch credibility to the breaking point. The confusion around the story is not helped by the proliferation of pronouns tossed around the text. It's not clear whether God intends to kill Moses or his firstborn. It's not clear whether it is God or an emissary that Zipporah confronts. It's not even clear who Zipporah circumcises or whose leg she smears the blood upon. But that's all for the scholars to parse. I'd like to focus here on Zipporah, another of the strong female characters that populate the 5 books and save the day. One writer pointed out that all through Moses' life, he's saved by women. From his mother who secretes him in the basket of reeds, to his sister who watches over the baby, to the midwives who defy Pharaoh's decree. So it's somehow appropriate that it's his wife, Zipporah, the daughter of a Midianite priest, who saves his life by appeasing God's wrath with a dull flint. Even more difficult, though, to comprehend is her next action. She takes the sacrifice and rubs the blood on Moses' leg. Again, we cannot be sure, and says, "Now you are truly a bridegroom of blood." Is that strange phrase an ancient curse or a potent magical formula? Or maybe it's part of some shadowy primitive ritual. We really don't know. But if you think of Zipporah as a character in a modern literary context, like a Lady Macbeth perhaps, angry and mystified at what she's had to do to save her husband and by extension the entire Hebrew tribe. The phrase then becomes a kind of a curse that's spit from her mouth. "Surely a bridegroom of blood art thou to me." The text, after all, gives us no stage directions, no line readings. So with just a simple change in emphasis, you get a whole different reading of this very strange event. And a foreshadowing of what is yet to happen in the story. The death of the firstborn Egyptians, the destruction of Pharaoh's army, the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness of Sinai until no one who crossed the Sea of Reeds remains alive. And the power of the phrase is further underscored by the fact that the Hebrews smeared blood on their doorposts, like Zipporah on Moses' leg, so that God would pass over their homes while slaying the Egyptian firstborn. So, after all, it is really the Israelites, the firstborn of God, who are the bridegrooms of blood in this story. I've chosen this tale, this part of the Parsha, to talk about, not to tummel, not to stir the pot, because of my own wonder at the words. There's nothing in this Devar, that's not in the text, just a tale that's always stopped me in my tracks. You know, I've always believed that the brilliance of the 5 books of Moses is that they question, they wonder, with different ideas. The books don't shrink at the sometimes irrationality of their own world, at the things that they cannot explain, the incomparable suffering or the often inexplicable behavior of God. Graham Greene said, "You cannot conceive, nor can I, the appalling strangeness of the mercy of God." This passage, this story, stands as an example of that questioning, that struggle. It's a surrogate for the Torah's own grappling with the existential questions of its time and ours. So perhaps that's why the authors left this mystifying passage in the text, to leave us something to puzzle just a few nights past the long evening of the year. Shabbat Shalom. Before I close, I want to plug tomorrow and Marty Miller's very, very appropriate topic, which is what it means to be a Jew. So don't miss that. I think Marty will come through with flying colors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for that fascinating teaching, one only you can give. We will continue with a few announcements to piggyback off of Jeff. Tomorrow, our morning minyan starts virtually at 10 a.m. Please join myself and all of your fellow congregants. Daily connections with Rabbi Yael are scheduled as usual next week, and all are welcome, and we always welcome newcomers. Tuesday morning meditation begins at 8:45 a.m. On Wednesday, Trope meets at 12:30, and Conversational Hebrew is at 4 p.m. Thursday morning, join Rabbi Yael for Coffee Chai, a great way to start your day at 8:45 a.m. CEHV's Food Access and Security Initiative is continuing to support the Blue Fridge. Please consider making a donation of food items or pantry staples such as oil, flour, sugar, and seasonings. For details, please contact the main office. New Paltz for Refugees is a grassroots volunteer nonprofit group working with other agencies to resettle those in need to our Hudson Valley community. A new Afghan family arrived in New Paltz last week, and the New Paltz for Refugees organization is looking for additional support for this new family. Details on their website about the family and how you can be helpful to them is found at www.newpaltzforrefugees.org. Page 587, we rise in body and/or spirit and face Jerusalem for the last time this evening for the Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש Baruch Hu. 591. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O source, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא. ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Page 594. Why should I wish to see the source better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24 and each moment then. In the faces of people I see Hashchina, and in my own face in the glass. I find letters from the source dropped in the street, and everyone is signed by Adonai's name. And I leave them where they are, for I know that whereso I go, others will punctually come forever and ever. We are with those members of our congregation who are in their year of mourning. We are with Carmel Gold on the loss of Richard Wudlich, as well as the Rothblatt and Fleischer families, holding all of those who are in their year of mourning's name in our hearts. We too weave in the memories of our loved ones who have died in this season in years past. Our hearts join with yours in remembering Barbette Bloom, Albert Cohen, Faye de Bussard, remembered by Paula Markowitz, Shirley Gelber, remembered by Samantha Michaels, Nathaniel B. Gross, Annie C. Himes, Robert Moshe ben Yeshua, Robert Laszlo Berger, remembered by Alana Berger, Ronnie Leader, remembered by Karen Leader, Tilly Myers, Tova Bat Chava Avram, remembered by Karen Wilder, Yolan Neufeld, remembered by Ronald Neufeld, Susan Ovadiah, remembered by Michael Corvin, Malka Miriam Pegula, George Silver, remembered by Harvey Silver, Sydney N. Wetterhan, and Hilda Zadikow, remembered by Lori May. Zichronam Livracha, may their memory be for a blessing. It is our tradition to stand alongside those who are in mourning, to support those in mourning, and also to say Kaddish for those who have left no one to say Kaddish for them. Page 598, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam ul almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha berich hu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Ma rabba min hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei Adam v'imru amen. I will echo our President, Jeff Greenberg, in thanking you for tuning in virtually this evening as we welcome Shabbat. I thought we could use a little comfort today, this evening, this week, this year. Looking to the text shown on your screen, you're welcome to join me. please join me for a short Kiddush. And 162. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. 122. ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכל ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מקום מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן, אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. L'chaim. To health, our last blessing this evening. Hamotzi lachem min haaretz. We give thanks to the source for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Looking forward to seeing you here, tuned in tomorrow morning.